BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my most anticipated reads from January through July for the YA books. Now, like I said in my previous video where I was focusing on just the adult books, this is strictly from January through July. Today's the last day of July, so I have gone all the way up to the very end of July. None of the Augusts are obviously in here. And if you are new to my channel, I mostly read horror or thrillers, paranormal, supernatural kind of things. I do have a trickle of fantasy sprinkled in with my books, but that's not generally what I read. So if you see books online that I have not added to this list and you think I might like it, please leave those books down below. If you don't see something that you really liked that isn't on this list, that isn't part of the genre that I read, then I probably won't talk about it because it's not my cup of tea. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to move over here so that way I can showcase the pictures of each book that I'm looking forward to reading sometime in the near future. When I say near, if you guys know me well, near could be 5 years from now. It's still near. We'll see when we can get to them. Alright, so the first one that I want to talk about is called One of Us is Next, which is the sequel to One of Us is Lying. Now this is by Next-Karen McManus. I put the first book in this duology or trilogy on my most anticipated wish list in 2017. That's when this book came out. So here is the cover of One of Us is Lying. And then this is the cover of One of Us is Next. Now, because this is a sequel, I am not going to talk about the second book, but I will give you a little bit of information about the first book. Now, the first book is, they say it's like Breakfast Club meets some other TV show on that I've never watched, but it has girls in it. Basically, what I took from the synopsis is 5 strangers walk into detention and only 4 come out. That is what I'm interested in reading about. I love murder mysteries. Doesn't matter if it's YA or adult. The YA usually ends up being super cheesy, full of cliches and major eye rolls, but because I'm heading on to being an old woman, I find them funny. So I'm interested in reading those two. There is a third one that is coming out. At least that's what I saw on Goodreads. It was like all in white covers, and it said the third one was called like Two of Us Can Keep a Secret, I think. There isn't a cover for the third one in like a hardback, only in the trilogy box. I don't know when it's coming out, maybe next year sometime. Anywho, let's move on. The next book that I want to talk about, I already own. This came out in January, and that is The Night Country by Melissa Albert. Now, this is the sequel to Hazelwood, which I read last year, the year before, maybe in 2018. This book follows a daughter and a mom. The mom disappears. The daughter's searching for her. She is being hunted by these strange fairy tale creatures. She's trying to get to her grandmother's house, the house is in the woods. She's never been there before, so she's having a hard time finding it. Once she reaches the grandma's house, she realizes the grandma has secrets. She's part of this fairy tale realm that she never knew about. And the fairy tales aren't happy endings. They're all dark fairy tales. So this book is written with the dark fairy tales throughout it. And the thing is, with the first book, I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars because I loved the way it was written. But if I had to choose, I think the dark fairy tale aspect of the book was way stronger than us following our main character into the fairy tale realm. That story was just okay. I liked the dark fairy tales more. But I am looking forward to reading the sequel. Again, this one came out in January. All of these books are out, so you can get them if you want to. All right, the book that I want to talk about is Be Not Far From Me. This is by Mindy McGinnis. She has written quite a lot of books so far, and all of them are in different genres. So you could probably find a book that you were looking for from this author. She wrote Not a Drop to Drink, and a sequel to that, or maybe it's a trilogy, I'm not sure, but that is a dystopian, post-apocalyptic kind of series. And she's got a feminism book. She has Madness So Discreet. That's the only other book that I own by this author that follows a girl who was in a mental hospital who is taken out by the doctor, and then she helps him solve murder cases, which I found fascinating because obviously I like murder mysteries and thrillers and horror, and all of that is in the book. So for this particular one, this has nothing to do with horror, but this is a survival book, which I'm really excited about. It's only 240 pages, so it should be a very quick read. What I remember from the synopsis is a girl, I don't know if her and her boyfriend are a part of a camp, but she sees her boyfriend kissing another girl, or she hears that he's cheating on her, something like that, and she gets upset and she runs off into the woods, which I find stupid because no boy is going to make me run away. I would have confronted him. But yeah, so she runs away and she's like all distraught, and then she finds out that she's gone off the path too much and she now has to find her way out of the woods. I like reading survival stories because I have a better understanding of the world around me. Even though this is fiction, it may come in handy one day. You never know. Anyways, that is the last one on this page. Let's move on. All right. The next book we have here is A Heart So Fierce and Broken. Now, this is by Brigid Kemmerer. That is the sequel to A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Now, I got a ton of these gorgeous books from Gisela, my friend who lives in Puerto Rico, and I haven't started them yet. I know, Gisela, please forgive me. Look how thick this book is. Like, I think I think this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I can't remember, which sucks because I obviously was interested in reading it and now I want this sequel. But yeah, so some of these are going to be sequels that I won't be actually talking about because I don't remember what the previous books were about. But it does say up here Beauty and the Beast, so I am correct. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Excuse me. The book on my list is this one here, and that is The King of Crows. This is by Libba Bray. This is the fourth and final book in the Diviners series. This is Layer of Dreams, the second one. All of the books have different covers. When they changed it from the Diviners, which was a gorgeous cover, it's in the other room, I can't show you, and then they changed it to this one, I was like, ugh, fine. But it's very retro, like the lettering and everything. You can kind of think of the 20s, you know, the Gilded Age. But then they changed it to this ugly cover, which I can't stand. So yeah, and look how thick these books are. Like the Diviners, I read really quickly. I think Penelope and I read it in about a week. It was so good. And then Layer of Dreams came out like a year, 2 later or something, and we were very excited, and we started it, and then we never finished it. And then the 3rd one came out, and now the 4th one's out, and again, I still haven't even gotten past the 2nd book, which, you know, story of my life, happens all the time. But I do want the entire series, so that way I can at least finish it up. If you don't know what the Diviners is, or what, you know, like this series is about, it's about Evie and her uncle, who works in a, like it's a museum of sorts, but he also is part of the occult. And Evie has the ability to read objects and know where they came from in the history of the object. And then she has other friends in her group that also have supernatural abilities. Now, in the first book, The Diviners, Evie is she's not trying to solve a murder, but she becomes a part of the investigation. And I don't want to talk about who the murderer is in case, you know, you haven't read the book yet, but it's otherworldly, and it was awesome, and I absolutely loved that book. So I'm hoping, you know, with the Diviners, because it's the occult itself, that it'll go in, you know, other directions that I'm really looking forward to reading about. I just haven't had the time. I know I have all the time in the world during quarantine, but not really. Not really. You get into a rut, and then you just sleep a lot and look out the window and sleep more because of not depression, but just like being bummed out. You know, I'd rather be outside. Anywho, the 4th one is finally out, and I'm pretty sure that the series is now over. Okay, now let's turn the page because we have more. The next book on the list is my Calamity Jane. A lot of the times I have the previous books to the books that I'm talking about in my most anticipated reads. So this is the 2nd book in that trilogy, and this is My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. The first book I don't own yet, but that is My Lady Jane, and this is all historical romance, but they all have, like, this is Jane Eyre, they all have like a historical, what's it called? It's like a retelling, which I'm looking forward to. So the last one right here, My Calamity Jane, came out in June, and so yeah, it's supposed to be funny. I really want to read it. By the way, supposedly my grandma says we are related to Calamity Jane, the gunslinger from, you know, the Wild West. Who knows? That's what she said. All right, next we have 2 books that I think you guys might be interested, but I personally probably won't be picking up. And the first one is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. This cover is so delicious. This is a gender-swapping retelling of Monte Cristo. I haven't read that original book, so I don't want to purchase this one and not know the original story first. Some people have said that this isn't that great, and then some people really liked it, so it's very divided. But maybe once I've read the classic Monte Cristo, then maybe I'll pick this up in the future. Who knows? And then there is Harley in the Sky. This is by Akemi Bowman. And this is about a girl who already works for a circus. Her parents work for the circus, and she dreams of being a trapeze artist. However, the parents don't think that she's ready yet, and she's got, you know, she's a teenager, so she's confident in herself, kind of arrogant in her wants, because most teenagers have very strong opinions, even though they aren't experienced in life. And so then they go off mostly in books. I don't usually see teenagers going off against their parents' wishes just because. But in most YA books. The teenager feels entitled and they feel like they know more than their parents, which happens often. They're oh so smart because we're old and we haven't, you know, we're not learned in the world today. And so she takes off and she joins a rival circus to be their #1 trapeze artist. However, to the detriment of her family and friends from the other circus. So it seemed, if you like circuses and you like trapeze reads, I have read a book about a trapeze artist who was a little person, and that was a long time ago, but that was very interesting. One, because I've never read a book with a little person in it that wasn't a dwarf from like a fairy tale. This is an actual little person who lives in Washington State, and she left to join the circus and, you know, do all that stuff. That was all very cool. But this one, I don't want to read about a teen that's so stuck up and arrogant that, you know, she runs away because of her ambition and her family's all upset. I don't know what the ending is. Maybe she comes to terms and says, hey, I've been a brat, but who knows? So if you're interested in circuses or trapeze artists, maybe you'll like this book, and then you can tell me whether or not it's worth reading. All right, the next one that I am interested in reading, and I never heard about this. I know the author because she writes fantasy novels, but I've never heard about this duology, and that is from Renee, Ahdieh. The first book is called Beautiful. Now, it's set in New Orleans, and it's about a serial killer who's on the loose, but they don't know if it's a vampire. The sequel has come out, and here's the sequel, and that's called The Damned. I really like these covers with the skulls on it. Or actually, I might be thinking of another book. I think the first one has roses. The second one has a skull. I'm pretty sure. Regardless, if there's a skull on the cover, I'm probably going to want to read it. And I really like vampire reads, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. Then we have another book that I am on the fence about. You guys might like it more than me, especially since it's a fantasy novel, and that is called Woven in Moonlight. And this is by Isabel Ibanez. It's about a girl who is a decoy. She's raised to be the decoy to the queen. And for the last royal, who is supposed to marry a neighboring king. The main reason why I think you guys might like this is because she can weave tapestries with moonlight, with actual moonlight. I don't know what that means, but that is her ability, and it sounds pretty cool. And then we have The Loop. Now, I don't have very many like sci-fis on my reading list. Normally I stay away from sci-fi unless it's like light sci-fi. But this one is called The Loop by Ben Oliver, and it's a futuristic death row for teens. I have an entire series by Alexander Gordon Smith. I think that's his whole name, and it's all about a prison for teens, but it's like underground. This one is called The Loop, where they do the exact same thing every single day, and that sounds super crazy, and I want to read it. It's a death row. I mean, I want to know what's happening. All right. Next. The next book I'm super excited about, and it's called Red Hood. This is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, and it sounds from the synopsis that it's going to be a dark retelling. It's by Hood-Elana K, Arnold. This is the cover, and if you like Little Red Riding Hood, you may like this one. I am always into fairy tale retellings because I like fairy tales, not kingdom fantasy with kings and queens and princesses and stuff. All right, the next book is called The Silence of Bones, and this is by June Hur. This is a South Korean Canadian author, and and it's a mystery thriller set in Korea in the 1800s. It's a police investigation of a murder of a noble woman. So I got the, you know, police procedural murder mystery and a historical fiction with a Korean-Canadian author. Sounds fascinating. All right, next I have The Sound of Stars by Alechia Dow. Now this is another gorgeous cover. Alechia is a Black author, and this cover is gorgeous. This is such a weird, random synopsis that I'm like even more looking forward to reading this book. And it's about a girl who really likes books and aliens who really like pop music. And they have to come together in harmony. I don't know what that means. They got me on books. They got me on aliens. They got me on this cover. I really want to read this book. And it's a Black author, so yay, more representation. All right, the next one is called The Gilded Ones. Again, the covers that came out this year, I want to say most covers for YA are pretty gorgeous, and they're most definitely cover buys. So if you're a cover buy freak like I am, you're going to love a lot of the books that I'm sharing with you. So The Gilded Ones is by Namina Forna. She's also a Black author. And okay, so this cover is so bright and beautiful. All right, so in this fantasy world, there are two kinds of people. There are the red-blooded people and the gold-blooded people. Now, it's kind of like Divergent, where there's a blood ceremony and it then puts you into whichever sector you're going to be a part of. Our main character is terrified that she is going to have gold blood. She wants red blood because then she can stay in the village. If you have gold blood, you're pretty much put to death. However, when she does her blood ceremony and she finds out that she has gold blood, someone, I don't know who, saves her from certain death and has her join this regime, this army that is protecting the kingdom, because those that have gold blood are mostly immortal, near immortal. That's what it says in the synopsis, near immortal. But they have to fight for the emperor. And I find that pretty cool. So she's got the advantage of having her being close to being immortal, and so maybe she then loves herself for who she is, even though she's not a red blood and people have like a stigma on her because she's able to be a part of this army. Maybe she does really well in the book, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we have Seven Deadly Shadows. Now this book is written by Courtney Alameda and Valerie E. Matum. This book is by yokai. That's whenever I think of yokai, I think of my son's anime series that he watches on Netflix, and they're all really, really stupid but super cute. So yokai are demons, and the entire book is about yokai, which, oh my god, yes. Courtney Alameda wrote 2 books. I think this is her 3rd one. The first one I own, and that's called Shudder, and it's about like the Dracula people. They have the, not Dracula, but the people that were in the book that were hunting Dracula. I can't think of their names right now because, you know, it's hot, and when it's hot I can't think properly. But basically the book is about their ancestors that came way afterwards, and how they're still monster hunters, and how the main character is able to see ghosts because she's got these like special eyes, and she captures them through cameras and then puts them in mirrors and then keeps them stuck in the monster realm. Kind of like Ghostbusters, where they get to lock them in that giant machine and they can't get out. She does that with mirrors. It was really good. I loved it. And then she came out with a space horror that I haven't picked up yet that I'm super looking forward to reading. And now she's got this about Japanese demons, the yokai. I'm just so excited to read more of her stuff. Her writing is very easy to read and super fun. So there's that one. Next we have Ink in the Blood. This is by Kim Smejkal? There's a J. Smejkal. I don't know. She's a Canadian author, and so the way this goes is that there's these people called the Inklings. They tattoo religious symbols onto people's skin. The religion is called the Propheta, but after being there for 10 years and serving this like culty kind of religion, she finds out that it's actually more of a prison instead of a temple, and so she escapes with a traveling theater troupe, and this is an LGBT book. I don't know what, maybe the main character is an LGBT. I can't remember, but there is that in the book if you're looking forward to reading those kinds. And yeah, I love books that have to do with tattoos, so I definitely want to read this one. Next we have the book called The Deck of Omens. Again, look at this cover. It's gorgeous. This tree, so cool. This is by Christine Lynn Herman, and this is the sequel to The Devouring Gray, which I'm pretty sure I own. I don't know where it is, and I don't want to look for it. But here is Devouring Gray, the cover. Pretty, gorgeous, love it. And then here is The Deck of Omens. Now, I would love to talk to you about what this book is about, but I can't remember. A lot of the books last year that I was interested in reading had to do with the woods, so this is definitely in the forest. I can't remember what aspect of the forest, if it's like people or animals. I know it's not a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it has something to do with an ancient wolf, I believe. So I'm looking forward to this fantasy series. This cover's gorgeous. Okay, the next one is called Girl, Serpent, and Thorn, and this is by Melissa Bashardust? Maybe? This is a retelling of a Persian fairy tale where the girl is poisonous to the touch, and her dilemma is, will she eventually become all the way human or all the way demon? Pretty interesting. I want to know about the poisonous touch thing. And it's lovely learning about other fairy tales from around the world, because you find that a lot of things that you've heard in movies and in TV shows and books that you've read are based on other, what are they called? Not other world, but other fairy tales, folklore, legends, stuff like that around the world. And you're like, oh, I've heard about that. I didn't know it was from here. So it'll be interesting to read this one. Okay, next we have this gorgeous cover called Ghost Wood Song. And this is by Erica Waters. This is her debut novel. And this book has a person in it that can call ghosts with a fiddle. It's a murder mystery. Here's the thing that I'm not too happy about. It's a love triangle. It is LGBT love triangle, but love triangle nonetheless. Normally, I hate love triangles. There are 2 books that I've read, or 2 series that I've read, where those love triangles worked super well and I enjoyed it, and that's because the girl got both the guys. So it was fair in my aspect. It wasn't really a love triangle. It was kind of like a menage a trois. But I really enjoyed those two series. So hopefully this love triangle isn't absolutely terrible. Okay, next is Dust. Now, oh my gosh. So excited about this. The cover is pretty. It's not as gorgeous as it could be, but it's super cute. And this is by Kara Swanson. I can't remember if I've ever talked about this author before, but it's an evil and dark Peter Pan retelling. Like Peter Pan is stealing kids for nefarious reasons, not just to have like friends on Never Never Land. Like he kills these. I don't. Maybe he keeps them as souvenirs, trophies. I don't know. I'm so excited. But see, the thing that sucks about this book, and this is the only like con that I've read in the comments down below. Now, whenever I look for books that I am interested in reading on Goodreads, I always read the synopsis, and then I go down and I read all the comments, because the synopsis is like the book cover, you know? It sounds beautiful, it looks beautiful, and then people then tell you exactly what's inside the book, and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound good at all. So in this one, it says that boys are stupid and girls are better. Now, as a mom of only boys, I hate that trope. Are men stupid? Absolutely. Are all men stupid? No. And I want my children to grow up with a good, you know, look on themselves and know that they aren't part of the stupid boys, right? They're going to be, you know, better than that. They're going to have manners, and they're going to woo their women, and they're going to be thoughtful and polite and nice and decent and all these other things, right, that we want our men to be. So to have this book right off the bat say boys are stupid and girls are better kind of irks me. I'm hoping it isn't really awful. We'll see. All right. The next book on my list is Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Powers. Now, I know that Lala over at Books and Lala read this and was on the fence about it. Rory Powers is the one that wrote this book here, Wilder Girls, which I am really looking forward to reading, and it's a horror book. This particular one, Margot is our main character, and she needs to know about her family and her and know what her mom is hiding, because the mom has a secret. So she runs off to go to her grandma that she's never met before to learn about the family, and I think she finds out stuff that she didn't want to know, and she's kind of trapped there in her mom's hometown, I think. I haven't watched any of Lala's videos since March, I think. Now, the reason why I did that, and I feel bad because I love Kayla, she always tells me books that I want to read, and so I wanted to be able to find books for my most anticipated reads videos without being influenced by her. And so when I saw some of the books that I had already put on my list to share with you guys was also on her list, that was very encouraging that these books were going to be good. So hopefully everything that I talk about is good. Who knows? All right. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And again, the cover is gorgeous. And by the way, Lala did this cover on Instagram, and this is why I knew that she was reading it, because she reenacted the cover for the Reading Rush readathon that I did not participate in this year because they changed it to Reading Rush. I didn't know it wasn't the book, what was it used to be called? Booktubeathon? Booktubeathon is what it used to be called. Now it's called the Reading Rush. I didn't join because I forgot that they changed the title, which I don't understand why they changed the title. Let me know down below if you know the reason why they changed the title. I don't feel like going in and like looking up all of Ariel's videos to find out the reason. But it was strange, and I didn't join. I knew I wasn't going to be able to read, so I just said forget it. All right, the next one on my list is called Deadly Curious, and this is by Cindy Anstey. Excuse me. The cool thing about this author is that all of her books, the books match. So I really enjoy books that have the, oh my gosh, the silhouette of someone's face and then a picture within. William Ritter, I don't know if he started this trend with Jacoby, but he did that, and now I'm obsessed with these kinds of covers. And so this particular one has the same cover, and it's a historical fiction mystery, cover by obviously. And oh, the one that I wanted to show you, I can't find it on my floor, but it's called The Hummingbird Dagger. I own that one, so I wanted this one. But it's a, yeah, historical fiction murder mystery, and it's a cover by, so love. All right, the next one is called Jane Anonymous, and this is by Laurie Farrar Stolars. I've read a lot of her books. Welcome to the Dark is one of them. Also, she wrote a lot of like paranormal teen books in the past that I was starting to read from the library. I really do enjoy her writing. It's pretty fast-paced. There's a little bit of cliches in it, but still I like it. It's good. Welcome to the Dark House is amazing. So if you haven't read that, I would absolutely pick it up by this author. The second one you could ignore. That one was crap, the sequel. But the first one is about teens that get tricked into being a part of a scary movie, and when they arrive, they are then unleashed in this broken down fair, like carnival, and they're slaughtered one at a time. If you like slasher movies set at a carnival, you know, or a state fairground, you know what I mean, with like rides and stuff, you might really like that book. Anyway, the author, I really enjoy her. So Jane Anonymous sounds interesting to me. It's about abduction. So it's an abduction murder mystery. Can't wait to read it. All right, the next one. This one, the con for this book is that it has only been published on Kindle. So unfortunately, if what I tell you is interesting and you want to read it, you can only get it on ebook. And that book is called 3 Privileges by A.V. Davina. And it's got 2 worlds living together without the other knowing, a la Harry Potter. So in Harry Potter, they had the magical world where the Muggles didn't know anything about the witches and wizards, but the witches and wizards knew about the Muggles, and they periodically would go into, you know, normal London. But this is the same kind of aspect where there's 2 separate worlds going on. One of the worlds doesn't know about the other. Okay, and Privileges is their magic system that runs through your veins that allows you to commune with nature. That's the word. I was like, what did retire? No, it's nature. You can commune with nature. So that's really cool. I like reading about magical systems that have to do with growing things or nature-esque. So not a very appealing cover. Sucks that it only comes out on Kindle, but if that sounds interesting to you, you might want to pick it up. All right, the next book is called The Last Confession of Autumn Casterly. Very long title, but I like that it's just got font on the front. This is by Meredith Tate. I don't remember coming across this author before, but it says here that Autumn is kidnapped during a drug deal gone bad and leaves her body to communicate with her sister Ivy. So I've read several books like this before where they've done like astro travel, where their body is in one place but their mind travels somewhere else, or their spirit travels somewhere else. And so the girl in this story is abducted. She tries to telepathically find her sister and warn her and tell her where she is. I love things like that, mystical reads, so I'm looking forward to that one. All right, almost done. The next one is called Layover Land. This is by Gabby No One, which maybe that's not how you say her name, but that's how it's spelled. Now, this is a very light-hearted book. I think it's purgatory. It's a purgatory love story. I mean, look at this cover. So you're set to this layover land, right, where you're waiting to see what plane you're going to take, whether it'll be to heaven or hell, and there's a love story in it. If I can find the movie that I'm thinking of that came out in the 80s that my dad and I used to watch a lot growing up. So there was this movie where there's like a bus and there's a bunch of dead people, like ghosts, on this bus, and the bus driver takes them places. I love reading about ghosts living everyday lives in the afterlife with the same kind of conflicts and frustrations as they had alive. Does that make sense? If I can find the movie, I'll show the movie cover here. But if you know any books that have ghosts living in their own kind of real world where they have to go to work and all that stuff, let me know. Constable and Toop, I think it's Toop, is a middle grade that I read a couple years ago that's kind of like this, that I just really, really liked. So, again, if you know any, let me know. All right. Purgatory love story. Next. Okay, we only have 3 more left. Then we have The Fell of Dark. This is by Caleb Rohrig. All right, so this is what I read from the synopsis and what caught me. The cover is hideous, but what caught me was gay vampire and the chosen one. That's all I wanted to know. But the main character's name is August. He lives near the nexus of a mystical energy field that gravitates, like, is a magnet for supernatural drama. It sounds like it's going to be one of those quick, beachy reads, and the gay vampire is supposed to be really funny. I love comedic dialogue in my books, so I hope it's good. I hope it's good. Okay, 2 more. Feather Tide comes out today, July 30th. Oh, actually, today's the 31st. Came out yesterday. This cover is freaking gorgeous. It's by Beth Cartwright. Cartwright? I can't read my own handwriting. So, you're born with feathers and hidden away. The main character leaves her protection to search for a father she has never met. This leads to the city of Murmurs, a place of mermaids and mysteries. So, she's born with feathers, but she lives in the ocean. Mermaid something. I want to read it. All right. And then the very last one is actually 2 books that I want to talk about. They're both by Anne Davila Cardinal. And that is 5 Midnights and its sequel, Category 5. So 5 Midnights is about, 5 Midnights is about 5 cursed friends, 5 deadly fates, 5 nights of retribution. This all is set in Puerto Rico, and there is the real world and the realm of myths and legends, and if they want to catch the killer, they'll have to step into the shadows to see what's lurking. Murderer or monster. The reason why I said that the next book, Category 5, is its sequel is because it's got the same characters in it, but it's you know how a lot of books will have the same characters, mostly when it comes to like mysteries. So the same characters are in the books, but they're doing other things. They're going on different adventures. So in the next book, which is category 5, this is about a hurricane with the same kids. So I don't know what it all entails, because I don't want to give myself any spoilers. So there's that. That was the last one that I wanted to talk about in this video. YA videos are probably always going to be longer than the adult ones, because there's more to it and I need to gush about all of the covers. Normally adult covers are kind of putrid. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you are interested in the books that I want to share with you guys this time around. Again, I haven't gone through all of Goodreads for 2020 yet. There might be more to come, so, you know, watch out for more videos from January through July. I do have a lot from August through December, so I'll definitely go over that in the next couple of weeks once I've finished all of January through July. But that's now 1-1. So I have 1 adult and 1 YA video so far. I'm hoping to make part 2 either this weekend or starting next week. And that is it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. It's Friday, so have a good weekend. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.